So you picked up the camera, let's say your phone, you started filming, and you were like, doesn't look right. It's not the lens, it's not the camera, it's not even lighting, it's your composition. Thank you for coming back to my channel, and I appreciate all the eyes and the ears that are watching this. This is my channel, Yehagraphy, or
Yehagraphy.
Hope that worked out. But anyway, I'm actually filming in the middle of the night, actually early in the morning, so I'm just trying to keep it on a low profile so my kids don't wake up. But anyway, today I want to talk about composition, and I'm going to have my trusty laptop over here kind of showing some shots that will kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about. And hopefully, if you're just starting out and you're first picking up the camera and you just don't know where to start, how to frame things, I hope this video will kind of help you. And if you're been doing this for a while or in the middle of your career, hopefully these are some of the tips that you may have shared or you may have found out you didn't do. These are some of the 5 tips that not tips, more like what I've learned from being in the industry, from college, and just learning of different ways between different mentors that I had over the years. Again, this is for anyone that wants to make this your career, and if some of the tips that can help you along the way, then I have won. So if you want to make this a career and you just don't know where to start, composition is definitely should be on top of your list, and hopefully these pointers will help you, I guess, carry on throughout your career. So let's go to the first one. So the first one is super simple. It's called the rule of thirds. Some of you may have heard it, some of you may have not heard it. But it's, in a nutshell, basically putting your subject either to the left or to the right of your frame. So if, you know what, let's just get to this cam shot over here. Okay, so just to give an example, this is a shot right here that I shot at a wedding. This is back in on the west side of Colina. It's Colina Beach. So as you can see, the subject is on, let me make this bigger. Oh, that's the timeline, my bad. So the subject is on the left side of the frame. So you either want to place the subject either the left or the right side of the frame. And that's just to keep it simple. That is the rule of third. Anytime when you frame something, you want to keep the subject either the left or the right of the frame. So very simple, very, very simple. Rule of third, just remember, rule of third is either left or right. The next pointer that I want to talk about is leading lines. So these are like the invisible lines that you position the subject in a way where when somebody's watching the shot, they will know where to look at. So these are lines that you don't really, they're not defined lines per se, but you know what, let me just show you a shot to give an example of what leading lines are. So this is an example. So this shot is an example of a leading line. So as you can see on my screen, you can kind of see the leading lines are these right here. So when somebody sees the shot, they will automatically, their eyes are going to be locked on right about here, because it's kind of like that invisible, unspoken rule. Like, let's say, when you like meet someone for the first time and you like put out your hand, and then they automatically shake your hand. So that's like that instinctive, I guess, aspect of what human nature does, basically. Same thing with the this invisible line. So gives the viewer, when they see the shot, they will automatically draw the attention to the subject, which is the couple over here. So in a nutshell, you want to just find like things in nature that kind of have like a leading line. So another thing that I can give an example is, like, for example, this is a shot of inside the chapel. So as you can see, the leading lines is this path right here. So automatically, for any, I guess, normal human, I wouldn't call it normal, but the initial tendency for most people when they look at the shot, they'll try to look, the first thing they will look at is right over here. That is like an unspoken rule, but more so like a natural tendency of what I guess human nature in general. Another example I can give is right here. Actually, this is when the limo is coming in, and the natural line would be this path over here. So it's like an invisible path, basically. So that's something you might want to train your like perception a little bit more when you're looking at a certain shot. You're just finding like these natural lines. It can be leading lines, not natural lines, the leading lines. So it can be like, be in front of a wall, or like the wall is like parallel to you and the subject is right over here. So if I'm doing this, that's the line. So you're looking at my face. So this is like a unnatural line, but you're finding those leading lines to kind of guide the viewer to kind of see what you want them to see. So that's the second pointer that I want to point out when it comes to composition, leading line. So the third point I want to point out is framing. So framing, just like leading lines, it's that natural aspect of how you see things. So say, for example, when you go window shopping, and there's a reason why they call it window shopping, is because the business owner that's selling an item, they'll put it at their window display, right? So if you look at a store, when they have that window display, that square or rectangle, you're only viewing the product in that particular frame. So same thing applies to this next point, which is called framing. Here's a good example that I can kind of give. So if you look at this frame right here, so when I framed the shot, I basically framed it I followed the rule of third, and then can you see, if you can see the horizon of here, that is basically my, how you say, not artificial, but my natural frame. So I'm using that as a guide to kind of frame it in a way where, the lines are kind of like symmetrical in a way. So that is like an example that I can give for like using framing as a natural framing as one of the pointers. Another example I can give is this shot over here, and you can kind of see the lines going like this. So that is my frame per se of how I'm framing the shot. And just to keep it simple, I look at framing as any natural line that can give you this perspective. So it doesn't have to be something concrete like, I'm finding a line. Like, don't overthink it. Like, imagine you're putting an imaginary frame like this to your shot, and then from there you can kind of see like, okay, that's the imaginary frame that I'm doing. So that's why when you see anything cinematic or any movies, everything is framed this way. So you just look in the world, or look in the lens of looking at in this perspective, and that way you can kind of form your frame. Just think of it as the frame, like a picture frame. So the next point I want to point out is headroom. So to my previous point where you're looking at frames, so if you look at this shot, you're looking at me right now, this is your frame, right? Point number 3, that's your frame. You're basically constructing the shot within this frame. Headroom is the space between the top of your frame and your head. That's it. Just, don't think too much of it. Just give a little bit of headroom, basically. You want to give the subject or whatever you're shooting just a little bit of headroom. Now, if you're shooting something like maybe like a tree or something, so if your focal point of the shot is like the tree trunk, for example, so you want to give your tree trunk a little bit of headroom. So that could be maybe some leaves in the shot. It's as simple as that. Don't overthink it. Just basically anything that you want to focus on, just give it a little bit of a headroom. Simple. Just keep it simple. So the last one I want to talk about is depth. Why can't I pronounce it? Depth, like depth of field. Depth. D-E-P-T-H. Depth. Now, depth meaning, not death. depth. I have a problem pronouncing that. So basically, if you're looking at my example over here, so basically, again, we're going back to the first point, following the rule of third. So you have a subject over here, and you have, well, this one is a wide shot, so you have a significant amount of headroom. This is the square, right? The leading line would be well, this is not a good example for a leading line because I'm framing within a frame. So why don't we use a different example? Let's get right about here. So I'm following the rule of thirds, right? I have the subject over here on the left side over here. And I have my frame, right? This is my frame. And then the leading lines, they're going to be walking towards this way. So this, naturally, people are going to look this way. And there's, headroom of the subject, right? You have a significant amount of room on the subject. And then the last point that I want to talk about is depth. Oh my God, I'm having a hard time. Johnny Depp. Yeah, there you go. So this is a good example that I can give right over here. And basically, just to go back to the points, you have your subject, following the rule of third, either left or right. So in this case, the subject is on the left. And the leading lines is basically, their walking path over here, right? That's where they're going to be walking towards. They're walking towards me. That's how I directed them to do. And then this is my frame right over here. This is how I shot it. And then the headroom, obviously right over here. Okay. And the depth is basically you have a background, you have the subject, and you have the foreground. So you basically have a mold of 3D space. You have essence in the background. In this case, it's this blown out a blown out background of the ocean because we were shooting during I think almost sunset. And you have the subject with the couples right over here, and you have the sand which is out of focus in the foreground. So basically having that depth. So when they say depth of field, like lenses that have a lower f-stop, right? You can kind of produce these types of shot with a prime lens or a lens that has like a 2.8 or a 1.4 or 2.0 to produce this type of shot. So having depth will get you basically make the shots more dynamic, more cinematic. And that's basically how most, I want to say majority of like compelling shots that you see, like, oh wow, this is so cool. If you break it down into those five points that I just mentioned, you'll kind of see it all hits those 5 criteria. And I basically use those points to kind of help me compose my shot. And by doing so, once I know I got my shot composed, then I can make sure the it's in focus, make sure the aperture is good, and make sure it's not too bright or too dark. And then that will make sure the shot is well received by the viewer as well. So following these 5 points will definitely help you kind of train yourself to compose a shot in a professional manner. I've been using these 5 points for quite a while, and these are things that I've learned in college, and as well as different mentors, and as well as different different scenarios. And again, these are, I would say, general pointers in the sense where when somebody watches, for example, the examples that I give you is a wedding, right? So when people watch weddings, they typically watch it on a TV, and a TV is basically the frame is like this, like a 16:9 frame. The rules obviously change a little bit when you're like filming for social media, where everything is a little bit vertical. There's some things that would still apply, but for social media is a little bit different. But if you're picking up this for the first time, picking up your phone and deciding that you want to shoot video for the first time, these pointers will kind of set your foundation, and then you can kind of skew in the direction of how videos are going to be distributed or how videos are going to be viewed. So use these pointers as like a stepping stone to kind of start yourself building your foundation. So composition is definitely one of the first foundations and basics that you have to know, and these 5 points will definitely help you, as how has this helped me doing this for 16 years now. So hopefully these pointers help, and hopefully you guys have some value in learning these 5 basic points in composition. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. So thank you again for watching this channel. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting this channel, and I definitely do appreciate all the eyes and ears that are consistently coming back and watching my videos. I know this one is a little bit on the technical side, but I think it's a must to kind of provide to any of you that wants to make this into a career, or already is your career and you want to just have different pointers from different perspectives from different people, and I'm happy to provide them. So thank you again, and hopefully I will be either in my car or my regular setup on that side, and not sneaking it, doing it in the middle of the night so that I don't wake up my kids and my wife. But anyway, thank you again, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.